Hi there, my name is Dr. Marissa May. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Unit 4 individual assignment. I like to think of this video as a walkthrough where I will do an example and then you'll have time to pause through the video and do your part of the assignment. So as you can see, there are some general assignment instructions that you'll want to make sure you pay attention to when you download the template from inside the course. You want to make sure that you're rounding all of your final answers to the correct whole number. That's important. And we want to write out our explanation so that it's really easy to understand. And I'll try to show this as I go along in the example here. So let's scroll down to get started on step number 1. Now, you're going to be creating a budget in this project, and this budget can be based on your current salary or on your state's median salary. Now, for our purposes, I'm just going to use a number. Simply, that's just going to make it easier for us as we look at the particular um, requirements for this assignment. So let's take a look. Step number 1, part A, provide your annual salary. Remember, this can be your current salary or your state's median salary. And you don't have to have like the exact dollar amount. I'm going to use a round number of 50,000. You just type it there in the box. Okay? Step B here, step 1, part B, determine your gross monthly salary. So look at this. It says this is your annual salary listed in part A. That's my 50,000 divided by 12. Now this is where you're going to want to take your calculator. I've got this old 4-function calculator, but you can use the calculator app on your phone. You're just going to do your income there divided by 12, and we're going to round to the nearest whole dollar. Remember, that was an important part of the instructions. And so I rounded. You can see the division I got, 4,166 point and then some sixes there. So I just rounded to $4,167. Okay. Let's look at part C then. Determine your monthly take home pay. So this is your gross pay. That's right above in part B. We just did it. Minus your taxes, Social Security, Medicare, health insurance. So this would be realistically would be 10 to 30% less than your gross monthly wages. So you're going to have to be real careful how you do these calculations. I'm going to use safely 20% less than my gross monthly. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to use my gross monthly salary and I'm going to multiply by, watch this, this is a little bit different than you might think, 80%. You may say, Dr. May, why did you use 80%? I'm so glad you asked. Because 100% minus the 20% we said was going to be for Social Security, Medicare, income taxes, all of that good stuff. So 100% minus 20% gives us the 80% here. And so that's why I'm going to use this formula. And you'll notice I wrote that 80% as a decimal. So here's what that's going to look like. Remember my gross monthly pay? $4,167 times my 80%. And again, going back to that trusty old calculator, I'm going to simply type it in. $4,167 times the 80%. You can see, remember, I'm going to round to the nearest dollar. So in this case, that's going to be $3,334. And that would be my take-home pay. Now remember, that's what's actually going to show up on my paycheck or in my direct deposit going into my account. That's exactly what that amount is for. Okay, so now we've got our monthly take-home pay. Let's take a look at step number 2. Now, we're going to be using some items. We're going to be using our monthly take-home pay for some of our expenses that we need to pay for as a part of a budget. Okay. So here we go. We've got some housing amounts. We've got groceries. You can see all of these budgeted amounts are going to need to add up to my monthly take home pay with $1,334. So let's just say my rent Um, I don't know what your rent is, but we're gonna make a budget for it. I'm gonna say maybe like 850. And then depending on your family size, you may or may not have more expenses as far as groceries. And notice this is dinners out too. So you want to include an amount for that. Got to put gas in your car to get to work. Or depending on, maybe I'll do 75 per week. So 75 times 4. See how I did that? If I did it per week, then I did just multiplied by 4 to find out how much that is. Now, remember, friends, this all has to add up to my monthly take home pay. So let's just see where we're at. Okay, so it looks like I've got $1,734 left over. So you can divide these up here based on, do you have childcare? But the key is that all of these budgeted amounts should add up to my monthly take home pay. All right, you can see that I've updated my budgeted amount for all of my take home pay. Now, these obviously are not going to be the same every single month. There may be months where I have to spend a little bit more in gas than I do in other months, particularly like the summer months. But this is just a general budget that will help me get through a pretty typical month as I'm working through a budget. Okay, now let's look at step number 3. Step number 3 is about categorizing these items in our budget as needs or wants. For instance, I love this example here. It says daycare may be a need, but babysitting for a date night is a want. So we're going to have to break apart our budgeted items as opposed to needs and wants. One that's pretty easy is an entertainment category. That's mostly a want. But other ones like the daycare could be a little bit of both. So let's see if we can break those apart. Now, I had put 850 for rent or mortgage payment. That's my housing amount. So, by the way, let's go ahead and copy. You can see that I've gone ahead and copied the amounts that we had from the budgeted items above in part step 3. I went ahead and put them in our chart here as well. Now, what we need to do is housing. How much of that 850 is a need and how much of it is a want? And for me, housing is a need. And so I'm going to need to put 800 all 850 in the need category, and I wouldn't have any in the want. But my groceries, those might be 400 of it is a need and 50 of it is a want. Maybe I'm going to allow myself to get a coffee once a week. And that then is just a want because I could have coffee cheaply at home, right? So you're going to break these apart so that you can decipher between the needs and the wants. So, as you can see, I have broken up each part of the budget into how much for the needs and how much for the wants. So, when we go to step 4, you'll want to go ahead and calculate the total of the needs here. For my particular case, I'm just going to type out the numbers that I'm actually adding together to get 2,850. And then we'll go ahead and add up the wants. And that gives me 350. So when we go, we can put these values in our chart, 2,850 our wants or 350. Now our savings were not included in needs and wants. So you'll remember I had $134 in savings and I'll put that in my chart. All right, let's look at step 5 then. We want to calculate the percentages. All right. So we're going to take our needs. So my needs and wants are 2,850 and wants are $350. Now, Our take home pay is 3,334. So let's do that division in our calculator and then multiply by 100. It's going to give me 85%. Now my wants, I'm going to do 350 divided by my 3,334 and multiply that by 100, and that gives me 10%, which leaves me my savings to calculate. If you'll remember, my savings were $134. And again, I'm going to do that division, 3,334 multiplied by 100. Which is going to give me 4%. And we are a little off only because of the rounding. And that's okay. Let's put that in our chart. Let me fix my chart right here. This should be 85. All right. So does it line up with the 50-30-20 strategy? So in theory, this one should be 50. Sorry, your needs should be 50. And your wants should be 30. And my savings should be 20. Now, mine are not. That does not mean my calculations are incorrect. Okay. It just means that I might need to start working towards that. So let's see what those amounts should be. We're going to take our $3,334, multiply it by 50%. If you'll remember, that just means we do times 0.50. And if I put that in my calculator, I get 1,667. I do my 3,334 times the 30%. Notice I did it times 0.30. Then I get $1,000 if I round to the nearest dollar. And then if I do my 20%, then I get $667. Okay. So we'll put that in the chart. Put all of these in there. $2,334, 667. Okay, so here's the deal. My amounts here in step 5 were not the same as step 6, like what they should be. Okay, that's okay. That's where step 7 comes. You're going to write a 100-word reflection answering these 3 questions. So compare your actual percentages to the recommended 50-30-20. So if you look at my percentages back here in step 5, I had 85, 10, and 4. So my needs were way higher than 50%. Okay, might be something I might say there for number 1. Discuss here in number 2, how well do you feel your budget aligns with the 50-30-20? Mine didn't. My needs were too high and my wants and savings were too low, truthfully. Okay. So that might be something that I would say there for number 2. And then number 3, what might I need to change in my budget? I might need to try to look for cheaper rent. That was a huge part. The housing was a huge part of my budget. So maybe I need to look for cheaper rent. You can think about things like that, but I think maybe 2 sentences for each question here in step 7 would be a good thing to shoot for. Obviously, you're looking for 100 words for all of it together. So I hope this helps you with our individual project. Definitely is one you want to go back through this video. Make sure you pause as you do each section and let me know if I can help in any way. Bye-bye for now.